Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jack Ulrich. I'm the Tritium Senior Marketing Manager. We're thrilled to share Tritium's latest technology innovation with you all today. As a bit of housekeeping before we begin, we will be hosting a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them within the questions box within the platform here. This webinar is scheduled for about one hour with a Q&A to follow. We have a host of Tritium leaders on today's call. And I'm proud to introduce you to Mike Calise, although he certainly needs no introduction. For over a decade, Mike has been driven by the mission of electrification of transportation. As many of you know, in January, Mike was appointed Tritium's President of the Americas here in Torrance, California, just south of Los Angeles. He is responsible for developing and promoting Tritium's value and market share in the Americas. Prior to Tritium, Mike served as Blink Charging Company's Chief Executive Officer, responsible for the company's transition and successful NASDAQ listing in 2018. Prior to Blink, Mike was the head of North America Electric Vehicle Solutions at Schneider Electric, a world leader in energy management and energy efficiency. He was influential in Schneider's smart city strategy and was responsible for taking the EV charging business from its infancy to one of the top contenders in the world. Mike also advises for multiple clean tech startups, including AmpUp, and holds a board position with Los Angeles clean tech incubator affiliate startup NeoCharge. Now I'd like to pass the stage to Mike Calise to introduce the other Tritium leaders on today's call.
Thank you, Jack, and I really appreciate this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tritium's RTM75 and modular scalable charging platform launch. I'm profoundly humbled to be a part of this groundbreaking global event, but I'm even more proud to be a member of this spectacular world-class team. I'm actually speaking to you today from Tritium's top secret covert auxiliary facility, otherwise known as my home. We're not too far from Los Angeles, the center of gravity for transportation and e-mobility. In the next hour, you're really in for a treat. You're in store for the intersection between DC fast charging and innovative businesses and business models moving forward, what lies ahead in America and the world. Now I'd like to introduce the speakers you will meet today and the members of our esteemed launch group. I'm pleased to introduce Jane Hunter, Chief Executive Officer and Acting Asia Pacific President. Jane joined Tritium in 2019 as Chief Operating Officer and Deputy CEO. She was appointed CEO earlier this year. Prior to Tritium, she served 7 years at Boeing as a company director and chief operating officer for their global PhantomWorks team. She has extensive operation experience across a multitude of industries, including aerospace, consumer goods, gaming and entertainment, and now clean tech. She has law degrees in Queensland's and Oxford affiliates and brings a tremendous amount of operational expertise to Tritium as we scale to meet this significant global demand challenge. You'll also be hearing from Dr. David Finn, our highly esteemed founder, executive director, and chief growth officer. David co-founded Tritium in 2001 to commercialize the lightweight motor control technology developed for the solar propulsion racing team. He was an early pioneer in solar-powered DC conversion nearly 2 decades ago, and really a world-class renowned authority on DC fast charging. He was Tritium's CEO prior to stepping into a deeper focus for product innovation and R&D, and he also serves on Tritium's board of directors and executive committee. We'll be introducing you as well to David Toomey, our Chief Revenue Officer and Head of Corporate Development. David has over 25 years of experience in global financial services, and he's been an advisor to Tritium's board and an alternate director. He joined the company in 2016 as Chief of Staff and Head of Corporate Development, and became Chief Revenue Officer in 2019. He has global responsibility for Tritium sales and market activities, and has been responsible for all of our capital raises to date. Along with Dave and Jane, He's a member of Tritium's executive committee. Thanks for allowing me to introduce this phenomenal team. And I'd now like to turn it over to our CRO, David Toomey.
Thanks very much, Mike, for a warm welcome. A huge and warm welcome to all of you from wherever you are across the Americas. Welcome to all of our customers, resellers, long-term partners, our friends, and our colleagues. As a company, we have had many exciting milestones in the past 20 years. However, today is truly a pivotal moment for us as we launch our third generation of electric vehicle fast chargers. This revolutionary new product we are launching today represents a formidable combination of the world-leading expertise that we have all across the teams in our company. It represents a cumulative experience of our monitoring and servicing thousands of chargers in the field, and it also represents the vision and tenacity of our product and engineering teams. Tritium's technology leadership is well recognized, which is driven by the differentiation of our proprietary technology. But why do customers buy our chargers? There are a lot of companies that can make an EV charger, but there are several key qualities that we think make a great EV charger. Those key qualities start with safety. Safety is paramount. Chargers need to be safe to install, safe to service, and safe to operate. They need to be reliable. Chargers need to work day and night, ensuring they can talk to any car, along with a 24/7 support network across the globe to keep them up and running. They need to be efficient. Chargers should be able to transfer energy from the grid to the car without minimal efficiency losses, or not consuming standby power unnecessarily. They need to be robust. We need to make sure the charger is weatherproof and can resist water, dust, and corrosive air. We bake in low total cost of ownership. It needs to have low upfront costs, low installation, low lifetime costs, and service and maintenance. Last but not least, it needs to be connected and it needs to be intelligent. Chargers need to be able to provide their owners with extensive data to allow them to optimize their business and customer driver experience. These things are hard to do, but at Tritium, we excel in these areas because of our unique DNA and because of our focus on DC charging. We only do DC charging. We live and breathe DC fast charging. Doing these things well has propelled the company from a small consultancy in Brisbane, Australia, to now a global organization delivering the largest and highest power charging networks across the world. Now we're going to play a video which explains the philosophies behind Tritium and what drives our DNA. And after that, you'll hear from our CEO, Mrs. Jane Hunter. Thanks again for joining us today. Take care.
Founded in 2001 by e-mobility pioneers, Tritium specialises exclusively in developing the world's most technologically advanced DC fast chargers. We service the globe from offices in Australia, the United States and Europe. Tritium has thousands of DC fast chargers deployed in countries all around the world, delivering millions of charging sessions to EV drivers every year.
Tritium is an advanced technology company and industry leader, enabling the mass electrification of the transport industry. Through our global achievements with EV charging infrastructure, we've actually already offset 3.6 million litres of fossil fuels. It's an inspiring vision to be a part of, and it's something we just couldn't have done without our shareholders who've been on this journey with us, supporting this vision of a clean energy future.
It was a wonderful opportunity 7 years ago to meet these founders and to invest in their visions. The Tritium roadmap now with this product is to provide electric vehicle charging as convenient and as fast as filling up your internal combustion engines. That's only been achieved with wonderful expertise within the company, but with the benefit of 4 very valuable investors and shareholders in the company. Not only the St Baker Fund with its expertise in electricity retailing, electricity technologies, Varley, since 1886 in Newcastle, an advanced engineering manufacturing company interested in electrification of transport vehicles amongst aerospace and other things. Ilwella, and a range of energy venture capital investments and construction, and Gilbarco, the world's leading, for 150 years, leading the world in mobility services and services to vehicle refueling.
We founded Tritium all the way back in 2001 to take the technology that we developed in solar racing around power electronics and commercialise that. The fact that these solar cars could just drive from 8 AM every morning to 5 PM every day on the power of a toaster, and it would get ahead of us, and we'd have to get in our fossil fuel powered vehicle and try to catch up to this thing, and quite often you'd hear teams getting speeding tickets trying to keep up. And for us to be able to do that with that technology back then, it made it real that we could actually make this happen in the future. And so really made me quite passionate about trying to take this technology into normal passenger vehicles in the future. Initially we were working in specialised engineering projects in all different areas around extreme environments, in remote area power generation to submarines and all these sorts of specialised engineering projects that required that high robust, high reliability and very compact but also efficient solutions. And we continue to drive our products forward with that same clarity today.
Tritium is the only company in the world to develop water, dust and corrosive airproof chargers, made possible by their unique liquid-cooled and IP65 rated sealed enclosures. And these are just some of the many reasons why our customers refer to us as the global technology leader in the fast charging industry.
Well, it really comes back to the DNA of the company and the experience of the founders and the experience of the shareholders working together and producing this differentiation. The founders have done power electronics in all sorts of climates around the world, the hottest, the highest, the deepest, the coldest. The projects they've done are incredible, and that experience comes through into their products, making them robust, making them liquid-cooled, sealed enclosure, small footprint. The titans of industry are on our board and our shareholders and provide a huge amount of advanced manufacturing skill, electricity industry skill, and experience with making sure these chargers are reliable, they're installed and they're serviced properly.
We forge long-term relationships with our customers. It's a partnership where we listen to the customer, we understand their most important requirements and their decision points, and then we want to deliver to them. So we deliver profitability, we deliver reliability, and at the end we want to deliver this seamless user experience for the electric vehicle driver.
And now Jane, our Tritium CEO, will address us. Thanks very much, Jane.
Thanks very much, Dave. And we're really pleased to have you all join us here online today for the launch of Tritium's groundbreaking new product range. Tritium is really a very exciting company to be a part of. The electrification of the transport industry has reached tipping point. There's no going back to internal combustion engine vehicles, and the global uptake of electric vehicles and charging infrastructure is growing at an incredible pace. E-mobility is an industry where everyone working in it has a very strong sense of mission, purpose, and camaraderie. We all know that what we do on a day-to-day basis and the more products that we sell and install globally, it's just going to bring huge benefits to human health, the environment, and our quality of life. Tritium has been at the forefront of this complex power electronics technology for the past 20 years. From its genesis in solar racing, where the requirements there were for tech building blocks that were small, light, power efficient, liquid cooled, and those have translated just so well into electric vehicle charging technology, which needs to be retrofitted into often densely populated, even residential urban spaces. Tritium has been a company where, for As a DC fast charging leader, we remain the only company that has liquid cooled chargers. And the benefit of liquid cooling is it does allow the slimmest footprint on the market. And it also allows this fully sealed container, which is sealed against the elements, against pests, against environmental contaminants, and it's low maintenance. To do this and to maintain our position as a leading global exporter of DC chargers, Tritium invests very heavily in research and development, and we rapidly iterate on prototypes, bringing new products to market every year, sometimes multiple times a year. And to facilitate this rapid prototyping, we've almost completed building a brand new test and certification center, which is co-located with our R&D facility right next door for the engineers, so they can go in next door and rapidly iterate on products and then self-certify and eventually third-party certify them. So that's going to be a huge advantage for us for rapidly bringing products to market. In this particular year, we're thinking about 3 to 4 times a year, so it's pretty incredible. And that is actually going to be a world first. There's no other test center in the world that can test up to 720 kilowatts of power. So we're very excited to see that come online in Q1 of next year. So it's only a few months away. The building's already up. This heritage and our competitive advantages have allowed us to launch this advanced, groundbreaking technology today. And we're very confident it's going to be the next market-leading product suite. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And I'm going to hand back over to you, David.
Thanks very much, Jane.
Good evening all, and thank you for the warm welcome, David, and thank you to you all for making time in your busy schedules to be here tonight with us on this momentous occasion. The electrification of transportation is a tipping point, and tonight I'll present to you how we will help you, our customers, push this revolution forward. 134 years ago, in 1886, Carl Benz sparked a revolution in transportation when he invented the first automobile. It looked more like a horseless cart than a car as we know it. But over the next 20 years, the technology progressed to the point where Henry Ford was able to work out how to mass produce these vehicles, spawning the automotive industry as we know it. Over the next 100 years, we as a civilization built 65 million miles of road, 500,000 fueling stations around the globe, and the automotive industry made impossibly complex machines cheap and safe enough for everyone to own and operate, enabling the mass market uptake of vehicles. In 1985, the lithium-ion battery was invented, enabling mobile devices. Now, these ever-shrinking mobile devices and the growth of the internet drove demand for these batteries over the next 3 decades. And this demand drove the technology and the cost forward to the point where electric vehicles became feasible about 1 decade ago. This is the point where the history of transportation and Tritium's histories intersect. 100 years after that first vehicle rolled off Henry Ford's production line, we saw the first purpose-built models of electric vehicle hit the market. And as we did, we at Tritium saw the opportunity to charge these vehicles in a more scalable and capital-efficient manner using DC charging. DC charging is fundamentally more capital efficient and scalable because it is shared across many, many vehicles, hundreds, avoiding the need to replicate the charger over and over again on every single vehicle. This is why Tritium has and will remain focused 100% on DC charging. We used our historic knowledge and technology from the renewable energy and automotive sectors to develop a DC fast charger that was able to work across a wide range of environmental conditions with a lowered service requirement. Now, this capability was really sought after in these early stages when we're trying to build out capacity, build out coverage across cities. And hence, Tritium enjoyed working very closely with a lot of our customers across US, Europe, and Australia and New Zealand. And I must point out that this charger is still the most compact and best environmentally protected charger on the market, even 6 years after its release. And I think that is a testament to the engineering prowess of Tritium that we designed this over a decade ago. These first generation vehicles were well accepted with early innovators and adopters in the marketplace. However, they were challenged to be able to drive between cities. So the vehicle manufacturers got to work designing new long-range vehicles with high-power charging capability. And these vehicles have been coming to market over the last few years, but they required new high-speed charging infrastructure. Tritium was able to execute, quickly scaling up and extending our technology to be able to deliver Europe's largest high-power charging network 18 months after its conception. This charging infrastructure was 7 times the power of our first generation. It was able to add 300 miles range in just 15 minutes. That meant we could drive from Brisbane to Sydney, 2 stops, 15 minutes each. Los Angeles to San Francisco, 1 stop of 15 minutes. Although these new vehicles were able to do everything that conventionally fueled counterparts could, and more for that matter, they were still luxury vehicles or expensive mid-range solutions. But this is all changing now, with new mass-market electric vehicles rolling off the world's production lines now in volume. These large volumes of new vehicles coming to marketplace require us to build out charging capacity both in cities and on the highways. Tritium will again provide you with the solutions you need to be able to scale to meet this demand, and do this in a very capital efficient manner. Our customers are at the front line of this industry, working to solve challenges for electric vehicle drivers on a daily basis. Working in close partnership with you all over the last 6 years has provided us the insight that we needed to develop a revolutionary new hardware platform. You'll find many inclusions that together make the products on this platform very easy to own and operate. And we have totally changed the game on scalability and capital efficiency. Take, for instance, this charging park here, which has the same vehicle throughput as a 16-hose fueling station. As the mass market of electric vehicles continues, this sort of infrastructure will become more commonplace. For the moment, our customers are installing charging stations 2 to 4 at a time. But they all ask, how do I quickly and effectively scale to meet the demand with no regrets as it comes? So with that in mind, I ask you, how would you like to be able to add a charging station to your existing site for half the price that you would now? How would you like to spend half to a third getting that site connected to start with? Or be able to defer the connection costs of upgrading that site for years on end? Have all the charging stations on that site, same size, same cost, twice the power, and twice the reliability. And be able to design the site for the robustness or the reliability that you wish, all while spending half as much on the cabling around that site, saving tens of thousands of dollars on current sites or hundreds of thousands of dollars on a site of this scale. But ultimately, being able to build a whole new charging park of 12 chargers for the price of 7, all without sacrificing the quality or feature set of the product. So how can this be achieved? Well, as I said, it's certainly not by sacrificing the quality or the capability. What we have done is we've extended on the original concept of DC charging, that shared infrastructure piece. We've pulled out half the charging station, the rectification, centralized that, and shared that across the site. Welcome to the revolutionary modular scalable charging platform by Tritium. It is fundamentally more capital efficient and scalable than any other solution. And it is able to be applied to any charging application. Tonight, we launched the first product on the MSC platform, the RTM75. The RT stands for retail and the M for modular. 75 means we can put up to 75 kilowatts worth of modules in it. It packages up the complete stack of technology that Tritium has developed over the years into a set of modules that lets us rapidly address whatever need you have on the market. The RTM is configured for 3-phase mains input. It is perfect for building coverage across a city. Without any further ado, I'll ask James to come up. And I'll give to you the RTM75.
Introducing the RTM, the third generation of Tritium DC charging systems. It's easy to install, easy to own and easy to use. The simultaneous charging feature reduces wait times and increases revenue. And its 6-metre long cables with cable management can reach any vehicle and reduces cable maintenance, while the LCD screen with advanced viewing angles optimises transaction flow. Born out of 40 million hours of cumulative uptime in the field, combined with the award-winning design philosophies of Tritium's engineering team, this charger delivers best-in-class reliability, performance and driver experience. The RTM can be easily installed in just under 2 hours on any existing concrete footing and can amplify your brand through tailor-made front and back decals. Designed with field serviceability in mind, it offers easy access, single-person lift modules, and all within a sealed enclosure to reduce wear and tear on internal components. Future-proof your electrification journey with Tritium.
I'm just going to take a few minutes now to walk you through some of the key features of the product. First of all, you'll notice it's on a very slim footprint, the same as the RT55. In fact, the bolt pattern is exactly the same with the conduits underneath, so you can swap and change those chargers around. We've maintained the IP65 rating on the enclosure to stop any ingress of dust or moisture over the years, extending the lifetime. But we've made it easier to open now. So I'll invite Jay to start opening up the charger. We've also maintained the large branding surface on it, so you can see that big, large downlights, and people love that about the RT50, so that's maintained. The credit card reader is now integrated. We can put any credit card reader on the market onto this charger, integrated with 2 already, and I must demonstrate the long cable reach because of the cable management now. So we can reach any car parked in any position. Now, as you open the door here, you'll see there's actually only one tool required to undo that one security screw, and the rest is all just by hand. And so this is really important for the servicing of the charger in the field. You can see inside here the modular construction. Down the bottom is the input circuit. This is because we actually sell all over the world and we need different input circuits for different parts of the world. Here are the rectification units. And up the top are the DC to DC units that actually are charging the car. As we look onto the door here, we have the charge control module and the daughter boards that let us mix and match the cables. So if you want to have 2 CCS cables, you can. 2 CHAdeMO can do that as well. And then the HMI, which can be changed, and the credit card reader, which is actually only a 15-minute change in the field if you need to change from an RFID reader to a credit card reader. At the top, you can see our DC meter. This is in certification at the moment. This means that we can actually measure the energy that's flowing to the car rather than to the charger, which is important in many parts of the world. I think the only other thing to point out here is Jay's going to come in and install the module, as you would in the field if we were replacing it. On this side here, you have the electrical connections. On this side, the liquid cooling fittings. So all the modules are all single-person lift. So the module that Jay has at the moment, 16 kilograms, can be done by a single person. Everything inside the charger is designed to be able to be done by a single person in the field within 30 minutes. And that's how simple it is. I'll let you close the door. Oh, up to you, Jay. So tonight we launched the RTM configuration of the MSC. There are two other configurations. The first is the PKM, PK for park. It's designed for building out a whole charging park. It's also M for modular. It will be coming in two variants. The 150 kilowatt, so you can put up to 150 kilowatt worth of modules in, and the 350 kilowatt, both releasing over 2021. And then the DPM. A DP stands for depot. It's for large-scale depot fleet charging. And obviously M's for modular again. This configuration will be available in 2022. As you may have noticed as I walk through the RTM75 there, it already contains all the building blocks we need to quickly release the PKM configuration. Those two rectifiers at the bottom that I pointed out, if we remove them, we provide enough space to be able to install 6 rather than 3 charging modules, increasing the power to 150 kilowatts in that same package that we currently have 75. Now this PKM architecture unleashes the full power of the MSC platform. Straight away, we can put charging stations onto an existing site for half the price. We can reduce the cost of connection when we design the site in this manner by a half to a third. And because we can efficiently interconnect energy storage at that site too, we can also defer connection costs for years on end. We can double the power of the charging station just straight away. That goes from 75 to 150 kilowatts. And the rectification system is now gone from the charger, so it can't fail, so you've doubled the reliability. And you can configure the site because you now have a lot more flexibility with what you're doing around rectification and charging stations. You can now configure the site for your desired reliability at the site. And because all the cabling around the site is now at 950 volts DC, everything is half the size, saving tens of thousands of dollars at the moment and hundreds of thousands of dollars on large-scale installations. The DPM configuration on the MSC platform allows for specialized dispensers and connectors, and also extremely high power rates. Now, we've taken advantage of the fact that when you're doing a large-scale fleet deployment, you have a very good knowledge. It's a very structured rollout. You know exactly when the vehicles are coming. And so what we do is we centralize the charging modules as well. Still keep them separate from the rectification, so we can again have that efficient interconnection of energy storage, and choosing a different level of charging system compared to rectification, which still gives you all the core benefits of the MSC platform. Ultimately, but the MSC platform packages up our complete charging technology stack into a set of modules that lets us rapidly respond to your needs. So whether you're in the business of home charging, workplace charging, public charging, or large-scale fleets, we look forward to working closely with you over the coming years using this revolutionary new product platform to help you electrify transportation globally, and for both of us to enable energy freedom for EV owners around the world. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a great night, and we look forward to continuing this launch event right now. But look, the thing I just wanted to point out is, the great thing about the MSC hardware platform is, it really allows us to rapidly configure the product for your needs. So we have got 3 sets of configurations there. The RTM, that's perfect for providing that coverage across a city, and it's going to be a really great solution for providing an amenity at a destination. So it's great for destination charging. And we're going to see more of this DC everywhere concept that you'll see from Mike. The PKM is really designed for building out charging hubs or parks, whatever you want to call them, large scale deployments. It's perfect for providing that capacity across a city or on highway locations. And the DPM is perfect for providing that dedicated charging infrastructure solution when you know exactly what the deployment's going to be like. You know, given that there's 2 billion car parks across America, there is plenty of opportunity to build out this essential infrastructure. However, look, I lived there for during 2018, and you know, I know firsthand some of the challenges putting in charging stations and getting them connected to the grid in North America. But you know, the revolutionary new platform that is MSC gives us a really good toolbox to help solve many of these challenges. So please draw upon that knowledge and expertise within Tritium to help solve some of those challenges, and especially over the coming years to work closely with you to build out this electric vehicle charging infrastructure and push this electrification revolution forward and provide energy freedom for EV owners across America. So I really look forward to working together with you, and thank you very much. And back to you now, Dave.
You're on mute, Mike.
Sorry.
Would you like to set yourself on mute?
I knew I would be the one to do that. I'm thrilled to be able to represent the Americas in this global launch. And when we look at what we're faced with today, it's really the intersection of the energy industry and the transportation industry. And that's a phenomenal opportunity for Americans and a phenomenal opportunity for everybody globally. Obviously, in America, we now are moving into a transition of a new federal administration, and there are significant plans to move forward to reduce, to change climate change and to reduce carbon emissions. We're excited to know that there could be up to $500 billion invested for e-mobility overall, and certainly over 500,000 DC chargers and AC chargers deployed, which looks very bright moving forward. In addition to federal mandates now, we have California, which has recently mandated the banning of fossil fuel-based vehicles in 2035. And we knew California takes the lead, but we weren't sure how far along the other states were. And just recently, the state of New Jersey initiated a very similar policy. And once you have a few states going, we expect a domino effect to take place, just like the ZEF states. So now you have federal support, you have state support, and what's really important is this regional and local support. We have hundreds of opportunity of grant opportunities for regional and local climate change policy issues. So we're excited about that. Next slide. We have talked about DC everywhere. What does that mean? Originally, DC fast charging was really relegated between cities and city to city. So we call this corridor charging. That's very important for overall EV adoption. When people want to make a family decision to purchase an EV, they want to make sure that if they were going to visit their family or friends or on a longer business trip, they don't get stranded and they have an opportunity to make that trip. But what we're starting to see now is a build out of corridor charging, but now it's complemented extensively by inner city and high density population DC charging. So one example is the city of Pasadena, where they now can tout the largest multi-port DC charging installation in the United States. So we're seeing DC come everywhere, and then what that does is spawn new adoption and start to get the spiral up effect of DC charging and EV adoption. So now what's the opportunity for businesses? Whether you're retail or hospitality, fleets, workplace, network operators, or heavy commercial dealerships, you're going to see a massive step change happen. This is actually revolutionary. We never spoke about things being revolutionary in the past. This is a new industrial revolution where clean tech meets energy, meets transportation. So let's go into the specifics about how your business can take advantage of this amazing launch, these products, and what we have for you in store today and in the future. One example is sort of retail. You're starting to see big box retail, convenience stores, local shopping centers adopt DC. And this is offering a tremendous opportunity for your register rings and your business in general. You can increase customer traffic, you can show your sustainability initiatives, and people definitely want to spend more on goods and service if they know you're socially responsible. In addition to that, the feature set we've designed is a lead-in. We recognize what's going to be important for these businesses, and Finn and the team have designed solutions and features within our products in order for you to reap those benefits. So this pay-as-you-grow concept, you don't have to start big. As a retailer, you could start very small with one or two, but you could see you have a decade-long trajectory of scalability capable. In addition, we've added simultaneous charging in the small footprint, so it makes it easy to install, and you get high utilization for a given power limitation where you could put 2 cars on 1 station. Moving to the next types of dynamics we're seeing in the Americas market is the important adoption from fleet vehicles. Obviously, back in 2010 and even up to this moment now, it's been predominantly in passenger class 2. But we're starting to see class 3 to 5, last mile delivery, vans and trucks, and even up to class 8 heavy duty equipment starting to adopt e-mobility, starting to bring batteries as a platform for moving forward. And why is that so important? Because the cost of operation, which is how fleets effectively get measured, are going to come down significantly with electrification. So DC's, what we've done is we've developed and designed beneficial features to meet these fleets and meet the ports as one example where this tends to be harsh environments and they get 24/7 utilization. So our IP65 sealed enclosures, the long cables with cable management, and certainly the way we're able to do this now, and we'll talk about this soon, is a fully automated charging where no human has to plug in. This is going to be very exciting. If you have a home charger, you'll get most of your charging done at home. But people don't realize that most people actually in California, it's about 50-50 live in single family homes, and then others live in multi-unit dwellings or apartments or condominiums. And you don't always have the opportunity to charge at home. So the workplace is an ideal place to charge. And we're seeing workplace start to put AC charging along to meet that demand. But what's happening now, because of the build out of corridor charging and the increased demand with the amount of vehicles that will be produced, is you're seeing a situation where it's not so easy for campuses and workplaces to just scale out AC. So what we have now is an opportunity to deliver DC in order to get a very high utilization to keep your employees quite happy. So again, simple installation, very small footprint, and simultaneous charging makes DC incorporated into your facility very easily. And the pay as you grow. If you're a small business, you can put in 1 or 2. And then as you grow your employee base, you can put in more because we've designed the scalability in this modular, scalable charging hardware platform. We are obviously thrilled to partner with world-class network operators. One of my personal favorites, or 2 of my personal favorites, and now 3 of my personal favorites are Blink and Greenlots Shell, and now Vontier. Gilbarco has a significant investment. So what we're starting to see now is for those great companies who are taking on all the capital equipment to deliver those valuable services to the drivers and the fleets, start to incorporate DC into their portfolio with these massive upside potentials. We have data management within our units where you can get a state of health at our chargers and talk to the OCPP. For those of you who know, that's your digital customer experience connected directly to our chargers in a seamless integration. Obviously, we have easy to install and easily field replaceable units so that your uptime and your profitability and your administering that energy stays high. And of course, simultaneous charging is going to be very exciting. And now we're starting to see the dynamic, what was small vehicles to medium-sized vehicles to even heavy commercial. As an example, mining. So if you look at the adoption of batteries within these heavy commercial types of applications, they actually require pretty big batteries. So from the start, you're looking at a minimum of 100 kilowatt hour up to 500 and beyond. So DC is almost a minimum requirement to keep these heavy commercial vehicles in a high duty cycle with high uptime. And our new feature where we've announced in 920 volt operation, that's going to get your batteries charged very quickly at very high power. And it's almost a default of where all these commercial vehicles will sort of start. And then what's probably the most important concept and feature set of what we've developed is this real important concept of DC microgrid. And I know that some of you, most of you in the audience today know what that is, but for those of you who don't, it's so critical that we have an integration of battery storage technology with an integration of renewable energy, whether it's solar or wind, because what you're able to create now is either a grid-tied microgrid, which gives you that resiliency requirement if the grid is down for any reason, and also gives you a complete independent microgrid that can operate in a resilient mode when power's off. And the combination of those are really a powerhouse trio, which will really create a tremendous opportunity for fleets in general. So now another dynamic we're seeing very quickly here is what was a sort of slow adoption at the dealership levels in the last 10 years, some with AC, some with low charge rate DC. We're starting to see tremendous interest. Why? As a dealership, you recognize that there's a change going on here. And there's going to be like 500 new vehicle models imminent. And as a dealership, you recognize the importance of delivering those electric vehicles. And so you look at DC charging, and one of our great examples is Harley Davidson. For those who happen to be catching up on Long Way Up, it's very inspirational. I highly recommend it. Here's an opportunity where you could fast charge these vehicles for your customers as they come in and peruse about new EVs, and also put it in your maintenance bays and in your parking lots. So again, we've designed this with very high charge rates to meet the highest performance vehicles that you'll be selling soon, as well as a small footprint, simple installation, and exceptional long cables with cable management. It's basically going to make us very easy to work with, very easy to deploy, and a very easy movement and transition moving forward. So in wrapping up, there's really a world of opportunity for America as well as the rest of the world. Decarbonization and global emissions, it's a $1 trillion opportunity for American capitalists. Okay, we have a new administration, and that's going to be a federal support, but think about the business opportunities that drive these. We're now at the point where the cost of batteries designed in a vehicle will be at parity with fossil fuel-based vehicles in just a few years. Some are saying 2, some are saying 5. It's imminent. And you're going to need DC fast charging everywhere. And that's Tritium's mission, to put DC fast charging everywhere with this RTM75 and modular scalable charging platform. So for your business, whatever it may be, and across all the segments we spoke about, regardless of what type of business, you'll look at increased profitability, sustainability initiatives, inviting new customers. You're going to see future-proofing and ease of implementation. Start once, give it a go. You're going to see federal, state, and regional support to make that capital expense lower for you, to take that plunge, but it's not much of a plunge. You actually have to get it done now in order to meet that tremendous demand. And really, we're reducing the barriers of entry with our whole total solution and architecture. So RTM75 can go down to the 50 if needed, all the way up to 350K and beyond. And we expect the Americas to move very quickly now, starting in 2021. So globally, we're all really at the intersection of the energy industry, which is massive, meeting the transportation industry, which is massive. And together, that's a multi-trillion-dollar global grand challenge that we're here to overcome together in partnership with you. And with that, again, I'm thrilled you were able to join us here, and I'm going to hand it over for the Q&A section. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you everybody else on this call for that wonderful introduction to the RTM75 and the modular scalable charging hardware platform. I'll now transition to the Q&A portion of the presentation, but before we do that, I have a couple of poll questions for the audience. I'll post the first poll question for a minute, followed by the second. And while you're completing those poll questions, please feel free to add any questions you have of your own for today's panel within the questions portion of the GoToWebinar platform. Thank you all. And I will now open up the second poll question. And please feel free to add questions into the question box while you're filling out that poll as well. Okay, thank you all for completing those brief poll questions. I'd now like to invite Jane Hunter, David Finn, David Toomey, and Mike Calise to turn on their cameras as we initiate this Q&A session. All right, so we've received a handful of questions in the chat so far. I'll start with this one for David Finn. Does the new RTM75 fit on the same footprint as the RT50?
It most certainly does, Jack. Yes, it's designed to have the same bolt pattern and the same conduit fittings underneath. Swap out very easily.
Thank you, David. Does Tritium offer installation services? Mike Calise, can you take that one?
Sure, thank you. Actually, Tritium partners with best-in-class installation partners, EPCs, that are either regional or statewide, and even very large across the Americas regions. So as we are putting together solutions for you, and you're interested in the hardware, as well as the network operator, as well as the installation services, we can help put all that together for you in a very simple way.
Thank you, Mike. David Toomey, how many Tritium chargers do we have in the field, and what is our footprint?
We have over 1,500 chargers in the field across America. America's actually was where we secured our first and largest deal. back in 2014. So we have a very rich history in the Americas, a lot of operating experience on the ground there, and of course a large facility and a big team there ready to serve. And you know, that's just in addition. Obviously, we have more than 4,500 chargers installed worldwide in all across 38 different countries in all climatic conditions. So we get a lot of rich data from the field in terms of being able to continuously improve and develop the chargers.
Thank you, David. Sort of in line with that question, Jane, how is Tritium expanding their global business?
Thanks, Jack. Well, in North America and Europe, which are our two largest markets, we've set up offices and logistics facilities, and that's in Amsterdam and Los Angeles. And both of those facilities are large. They currently handle both repairs and maintenance, warehouse and distribution, product customization like vinyls, SIM cards, and also the addition of any customer requests that come later like credit card readers. And we've also got office and sales staff there, as well as customer test and interoperability centers for our customers to come along and sit with us and try out their vehicles and test out the products. We do have extra space too in both of those facilities where we can later add production lines as market demand makes sense. So we can have local manufacturing lines, and that might work for bids where, for example, it requires Buy America. We've also got similar facilities to those in Europe, where Europe's a little bit ahead of the curve globally currently where it comes to EV uptake, but we do actually expect that to change with the recent administration change in the States, and for North America to become an even larger market. And here in Australia, we've got our R&D facility and engineers, along with new test and certification facility about to go live. But the other thing I think it's worth mentioning is we're also globalizing as a company. And that means basing some of our most senior executive roles right across the globe with staff in those countries. So we've just put somebody into Singapore, we've put a number of senior roles into Los Angeles, we've got somebody in the UK, and we expect not too long from now to put somebody into South Korea and Japan.
Thanks, Jane. Next one for David Toomey. What is the cost of this new equipment, and what is the cost to actually make it more powerful of a charge?
Well, the simple answer is it's very affordable and very competitive in the market. The more extensive answer is it's hard because there's so many features and feature bundles. We also have, of course, volume discounts and different power levels. So the best way really is to contact us so we can go through your needs. That's something we really take pride in, and please take advantage of our experience so we can do some consultation to you in terms of leveraging our experience with operators around the world and in formulating the best package, the best solution, and as Mike said, partnering with the best operators if and when we need to help get this in the ground. We really like to look at also total cost of ownership is very important to us. The building blocks of these chargers are built on making them last for a long time and be simple to maintain and very easy to maintain. For example, there's no air filters that you need to change out or clean every 6 months, saving money. It's very efficient in terms of the energy losses when transferring the energy from the grid to the car. So we like to come with you and analyze the situation, analyzing your needs, and provide you with a very targeted and customized offer. So please give us a call. We love those questions. Give us a call, and we'd be more than happy to step through everything and help as much as we can.
Thanks, David. And for everybody on the line, please feel free to access our new website, tritiumcharging.com, to contact us and submit queries. Next question is for Mike Calise. How will the dual charging affect grants that may require multiple connector types in order to get funding?
Yeah, there's multiple benefits to dual cords and simultaneous charging. You could actually start out with, say, a CHAdeMO and a CCS1 today, and then later upgrade that cord to 2 CCS1s. And this is a pretty exciting development in this new architecture that we previously did not support. as far as the benefits of grants, it really depends. There's a wide range of different types of grants, depending on whether it's a grant per port or a grant per charging station. What we have realized is one example with the RTM75, that seems to be the highest power you can get with certain minimum grants, which means you can maximize the power to your customer base and maximize the grant per power rating. So we're seeing this depends, and we would like to discuss this further with you. So contact us and we can talk specifically about which grant that you're interested in, and we could support your success in winning those grants.
Thanks, Mike. A question came through, request rather, to explain more about the energy storage integration of the new modular design. David Finn, would you be able to answer that one?
Sure. Yeah, especially as we move to the PKM architecture, it means we have full access to the DC microgrid that's created on site. So the charging stations now run in that architecture from a 950 volt DC link, and that provides the perfect point to interconnect energy storage onto that site. So providing more resilience to energy or grid fluctuations, and also the ability to be able to defer the upgrading of the connection to the site. As more and more vehicles come through, you can increase the utilization of that site beyond what the peak power capability of that grid connection is. And it's the peak power that costs you the money. It's the piece you have to pay the capacity fees for, the demand charge for, and pay the utility to have the poles and wires upgraded to that site. That's the bit that we can defer by putting in the energy storage at that site. So yeah, we'll look forward to working more closely with a lot of our customers over the coming years to solve those challenges.
Thank you, David. One more question for you. Is the load share simultaneous charging on the RTM75 dynamic, meaning as the first as the first vehicle moves from constant current to constant voltage, the second vehicle is allocated the surplus energy from the rectifiers?
Yeah, that's right. On the simultaneous level, we're actually moving charging modules between the different connectors. So it's when it does have two cars charging, we are splitting the modules between the two sides, and then as one car lowers its charge requirement, it can then free that side up to then move to the other. So it is just half or all to one side. But as one car gets low enough to the point where we want to turn it off, we could then swap that power across. So it is dynamic, but it is limited to that half-half split.
Thanks, David. David Toomey, can multiple RTM75 units be linked together to enable greater charging capacity across any single port?
Is that a good one for David Finn, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. David Finn, is that possible with a single port?
Are you talking about in the large site configuration? Is that the...
Yeah, the question was if you're able to link a number of RTM75 units together to enable greater charging through a single port.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. The output of the charger is limited by the cable itself and by the charging modules in the cable. So linking them together doesn't increase the output power. One thing that we are looking into and watch this space is to be able to use the rectification systems that are in the RTM to provide a more like a PKM architecture on that side. So that is an interesting space that we're interested in developing further over the coming year or so.
Thank you, David. In the presentation, we stated that the DPM is expected in 2022. When is the PKM coming to market? Jane, would you be able to answer that one?
Sorry, just coming off mute. Yeah, the PKM is coming to market in June, July next year of 2021. So it's only about 6 months off. And with the RTM, of course, available from next month in small quantities, and then from March in large quantities.
Thanks, Jane. And Mike Calise, when will the RTM75 be available in the US?
Right. Well, we expect the RTM to be available pretty soon here in the first quarter, and we'll have the newest edition units available for purchase sometime just in the beginning of the new year. We're excited about that, and our expectation is full production in as high as quantities as you'd like by the second quarter.
Thank you, Mike. David Finn, does the RTM 50 to 150 scale up to 150 kilowatts without an external power cabinet?
We don't have an RTM 150 on the market at the moment, so the PKM scales up to 150. Now the PKM sits on a site. It requires the rectification to be at the site as well, and then you can put as many user units or charging stations as you wish onto that site to share that DC microgrid that's been created at that site. And those PKM chargers can be scaled from 50 kilowatts up to 150 kilowatts, just by adding in those modules as you saw in the video, which is very quick and easy to do.
Thanks, David. Another question here for the future products. Will there be a pantograph option of the DPM product or on the DPM product, David Finn?
Certainly, as I had an open invitation there to really engage with us over the coming years to work with us to do those sorts of projects. We do have a very large depth of engineering capability inside the organization. And when the project makes sense commercially, and we'd love to get involved and integrate that DPM product in with those sorts of connectors. And what we've been doing in the ports is an example of that, with that side interconnect that we have there in the ports. So I'm very happy to work on other projects as well. But Jane might want to comment further on that.
Okay. Let's see. Will there be vehicle to grid capability with the new charger and or the new MSC platform, David Finn?
And not initially, no. It is on our roadmap, but you have to watch this space in terms of bidirectional flow on the high power chargers.
And then what is the power input for an RTM 150? I think they mean PKM 150. Does it require DC input? Yes, 950 volts DC in. I think it's up to 160 amps or something off the top of my mind. And yes, that's provided by a rectification cabinet that we already use quite frequently for our high power charging stations already. So that product already exists. And as you saw in the video, all the building blocks for PKM already exist as well in the RTM architecture or RTM product configuration. So we're very confident about being in the marketplace by the end of Q2 next year with the PKM 150. Thanks, David. Quite a few technical questions coming through as our technical expert. Will these chargers work at 208 volts or 240?
So they're all designed for 480 volts line-to-line voltage in a moment, so 277. Yeah, when we have looked at putting in 208 support, when you do the sums, it usually works out just easier just to put a 208 to 480 volt transformer. And I think once you start looking at the PKM architecture, you'll find that's quite a nice solution in terms of transformer rectification cabinet and then 950 volt DC around site. And you can put in, start with 2, and it makes sense commercially at 2, and then you can continue to build out, as Mike said, over time. That 2 might become 10, it might become 20, and there is just a lot of car parking in North America to enable that to happen, to build out that capacity over time.
Thanks, David. One more for you. Are the cables liquid cooled?
So the cables on the 350 kilowatt, yes. The cables on the 150 are not. 150 kilowatts, you can right on the border of where the technology sits between dry cables and liquid cooled. And obviously, if we can do the 400 amps in a continuous manner with dry cables, we wish to do that because it's just one less thing to go wrong in the charging station, increases the reliability of the station to take away that liquid cooling. So that is the path we're taking, is dry cables in the 150, and we don't move to liquid cooling until we move up to the 350.
Thanks, David. Let's see, there's a couple more questions in here. How do you see operations and maintenance of this modular equipment as compared to the VFill or the RT equipment that we currently have? What field testing have you done to test this?
You've been doing a lot of verification work, actually having learnt the lessons of having product in the field for millions of hours over the last 6 years. I guess we know all the weak points where we need to go and test, and we've done all those tests. Obviously, it is a new product, and field time is limited, but we know exactly the tests we need to be running and the weak points, and have been doing those verification tests in our laboratories and been running long-term testing 24/7 of chargers and modules in elevated temperature environments. And so we've been doing that for the last several months now continuously. So getting a lot of, I guess, confidence around the quality of the product that we're bringing to market. But in terms of, there's two pieces to uptime, isn't there? There's how reliable the product is, and then there's the piece it takes. If something, and if you have enough product out there, something will go wrong. When it does go wrong, how quickly can we repair that product? And as I mentioned in the video, everything is designed to be a one-man exercise to repair any sort of service procedure, and that to be done within half an hour of arriving at site. So, and that's why we've put so much effort into being able to actually, we keep the IP65 rating, but also have it very easy to access that electronics bay, and then everything inside that electronics bay is modular, all single man lift, all half an hour service procedures. So in and out very quickly, very different experience to servicing the RT50.
Thank you, David. We'll wrap with one last question, and then we'll push on. I apologize that we weren't able to get to everybody's questions, but please feel free to contact us via the website, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So Jane, to round it out, what's next for Tritium? What are we excited about?
Look, we're excited about a lot of things for our future, but there's a couple of things I definitely call out. Plug and charge is really exciting. That's where the vehicle becomes the credit card and it talks directly to the charger without the need for an app or an RFID or a credit card reader. And we're the first company globally to bring that to market. So we're pretty excited about that. That makes the driver experience really simple and really fast. Personally, as a car nerd, look, I'm really looking forward to seeing automotive manufacturers really innovate with the vehicles. Beyond the idea of the lithium-ion battery, with where it's placed in the vehicle, there's just no reason for vehicles to have to stick with their current form factors. So vehicle design is going to be phenomenal over the next few years, and I'm really excited to see those cars hit the road and see where the designers take them. For us personally, the Test and Certification Centre coming online is going to be absolutely amazing. Having our scientific design EMC chamber and environmental chamber, which are going to be state of the art, that's going to be fantastic. Vehicle to grid, bidirectional charging, that's not too far out. That's going to be a game changer. So there's a lot of exciting things coming up in the industry. And of course, tipping point being reached for EVs, which we're absolutely determined is where we're up to. So as a technology, we're going to have all these fantastic new products right as tipping point's been reached. So I don't think anyone can fail to be excited by that, and we certainly are very excited by it, Jack.
Thanks, Jane. So with that, I want to thank you all for the great questions today. Before we close out, I do want to pass to Mike Calise for some closing statements, but we really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and really hope that you're just as excited about the MSE hardware platform and the new RTM75 as we are. So like I said, at this time, I'd like to pass the microphone back to Mike Calise, our President of the Americas.
Thank you. And I just want to thank everybody who spent the time today with us. I'm most proud of being able to introduce this global team to you, and so that you can get to know this team. This team is doing great things moving forward, from innovation, from support globally 24/7. We have great minds at this company. We're growing dramatically. We have great partnerships set up with you out there, and our expectation is a pretty significant step change in the Americas relative to our policy now, the amount of interest across multiple industries, and really having an opportunity to serve the needs of your business. And whether it's profitability or employee retention or a sustainability initiative, or mostly decarbonization and what that means for climate mitigation, and then there's money and capital investments in here to be made. That's a culmination that we haven't seen in the last decade, and it's finally happening. And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for all the effort here, including our team and your teams respectively, and look forward to talking again and creating some tremendous opportunities with you together. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. See you out there.